Although the demons were gone, Rio was still very much in disarray. Troops scoured the city looking for any signs of survivors. The lava had hardened, and although that was a good thing, it made it nearly impossible to get into areas where the housing had collapsed. If there was anyone in there who had found a bubble or a catacomb to hide from the magma, they were basically entombed. That was probably one of the hardest things for the soldiers and mercenaries to deal with, and they did everything in their power to not think about it. Katie and Pandora kept as good a watch over things as possible, but their time was growing short. There were other places they needed to be, including New York, where there were demons and damned running amok through the shadows and alleys. They knew, though, that they would be back as soon as they could, and that they were only two compared to the millions who needed their help. Down through Rio de Janeiro, past the streets and coffee shops, past the shopping and touristy locations, where the echoes of laughter and excitement still hung like a deep, thick fog haunting the town, was a small suburban neighborhood. They were nice homes, nicer than the slums at least, but they were nowhere near the luxury of the rich. Then again, how could they be? The rich sequestered themselves behind bars and walls to keep the poor and moderate out of their presence. 3 streets into the quaint neighborhood, and 4 houses on the right, was a blue home with black shutters. The whole neighborhood had basically been destroyed, if not by the tidal wave of lava that washed through, then by the demons destroying their very lives as they hid, weeping in the corners. The blue house, though, was not completely gone. The roof had collapsed, and it had begun to fall in on itself.
"Hello?"
a small voice cried.
"Is there anyone out there?"
Isabella, a short 11-year-old girl with long silken dark brown hair and crystal blue eyes, sighed, squinted at the cracks above her that permitted streaming beams of light through them. Home alone, her brother had grabbed her and taken her down to the basement to hide after they heard the news about the incursion from neighbors who were fleeing. When huge demons had plowed through, it had knocked the 3-story house down on them, creating a cave of rubble. Her brother, trying to shield her during the collapse, had fallen victim to several tumbling slabs of concrete that had landed on one of his legs. The little girl hopped down and grabbed her book bag off the ground, the only thing she had with her. She reached in and pulled out a Fanta, then popped the can open and crouched, shuffling on her knees toward her brother. She put her hand under his head and lifted it slightly.
"Here, drink some of this,"
she whispered to him.
"It's the only thing we have, and it's the last one."
Her brother roused enough to get it down, but at that point he was barely conscious. Isabella whimpered, putting down the can of soda and wrapping her arms around her shoulders. As a tear fell down her cheek, voices whispered above them. Isabella looked straight up, eyes piercing the rays of light, and watching as someone above dragged their feet, knocking small pebbles and dust into her cave. "I can lift it myself," one of the voices said pointedly. The other voice snapped back at her. "It might collapse. We will do it together." The first voice grumbled defiantly. Oh, why? You're being a glory hog again about something that isn't glorious." A stone hit the floor above Isabella, and the second voice snipped in irritation. "Fine, Mom, whatever. God, such a nervous Nancy." The first voice grumped. "Don't call me Nancy." Katie was standing above the rubble pile, looking around for any clue as to how bad the damage to the humans trapped below was. Pandora stopped in front of a huge slab of concrete, the one that seemed to be the culprit behind the implosion of the building. They each took a side, grunting as they used their angel energy reserve to lift it from the rubble and then leap up, beating their wings as hard as they could. Isabella put her arm up, squinting as dust fell around her and the sun burst into the space. She was covered in dirt and grime, and had smears of black soot across her cheeks and forehead. Small, bright red cuts ran across her filthy skin, but nothing too severe. As her eyes adjusted to the light, she saw the familiar faces of Katie and Pandora. By that point, there wasn't a soul on earth who didn't know them. The little girl gasped and hurried over to her brother, dropping to her knees next to him. She pushed on her brother's chest.
"Manuel, wake up! They have come to save us! Manuel!"
She bit the inside of her lip, looking around for anything that would help her wake him, but there was nothing. Her mother's voice floated through her head, and she remembered the many times over the last few years she had raised her voice to Isabella's brother to get his attention, because, despite being her protector, he was also a normal teen.